Amtrak may be combining two long-distance routes, the Gateway Tunnel received unprecedented funding, and the MBTA made a heritage unit. Coming up now on This Month on the Railroad, my monthly North American train news series. Let's begin. On July 1st, 2024, Florida commuter rail TriRail operated its first ever express train with a weekday peak hour round trip between Miami and West Palm Beach. This is thanks to the recent Miami Central expansion, which allows TriRail to connect with Brightline services in downtown Miami. A week later, the federal government gave out the largest single transit grant in U.S. history when they provided $6.88 billion to build the Gateway Tunnel underneath the Hudson River. This almost $7 billion investment is part of a larger $11 billion federal spending package for the project, which at this point is fully funded and ready to build. It's expected that the new tunnel between New York and New Jersey will be completed around 2040, increasing train frequency and reliability in and out of Penn Station. On the 10th, after a 76-day excursion, Canadian Pacific 2816 returned to its home in Calgary, Alberta, concluding the CPKC Golden Spike Tour. The celebration of CPKC's inception saw this recently restored steam locomotive traveling across CPKC's network in Canada, the United States, and Mexico, making for one of the most memorable mainline steam excursions of the 21st century. On the same day, Trains magazine discovered that Amtrak may be planning to combine two of its long-distance trains, the Capital Limited and the Silver Star, into one ultra-long-distance train between Chicago and Miami via Washington, D.C. This was speculated based on ticket availability beginning in November. This change is expected to be a product of Amtrak's long-distance equipment shortages, which this would potentially help alleviate short-term. Aside from freeing up superliners for western routes, this ultra-long-distance train would potentially be subject to more delays, but when compared to the aforementioned routes out west, its mileage wouldn't be unprecedented, taking the spot of the second longest route behind the California Zephyr. Obviously, nothing has been confirmed as of yet, but if this does happen, it could mean one less long-distance train for Amtrak. On the same day, after arriving in Canada in June, VIARail officially unveiled its heritage train set, naming it Lumi, short for its luminous yellow paint job. VIA says this train is supposed to pay homage to the monochrome yellow paint scheme worn by UAC turbo trains of the late 60s, and it's also supposed to spread awareness and get people excited for VIA's new corridor trains. As of July, VIA is confident that all 32 of its Siemens Venture trains on order will be in service by the summer of 2025. The next day, the Canadian government kept the good news train going, pun intended, providing funding for VIARail to begin the process of replacing its long-distance trains, some of which are approaching 70 years old. According to VIARail, it intends to purchase around 40 new locomotives and somewhere around 300 railcars. An official set of specifications is expected to be issued by VIA in the near future, and sometime after that, a manufacturer will be chosen. On the 12th, Metro North finished its 5th 40th anniversary locomotive, celebrating not a predecessor railroad, but the hundreds of people that keep it going. P32 ACDM number 214 is covered in hundreds of photos of MTA and Metro North employees, both past and present, all forming a mosaic of the New York City skyline. In addition to this tribute to railroaders, the 214 wears a paint scheme reminiscent of the silver it was originally delivered in. For those keeping track at home, this joins the MTA Beach Ball Scheme Heritage Unit, the Conrail Heritage Unit, the New York Central Heritage Unit, and the Penn Central Heritage Unit. It's unclear whether this is the last of the 40th anniversary locomotives, but even if it is, the MTA says all 5 will remain in service for the foreseeable future. On the 17th, the first Siemens Venture cab car began testing on Amtrak's San Joaquins service. Unlike most cab cars that have a flat front end, these Venture cars feature a matching nose to the SC44 locomotives they're paired with. As of right now, it's unknown when they'll enter service, but eventually all 7 trains on order, expected to be in service by 2026, will have a cab car on one end. On the 23rd, CSX completed its 17th Heritage Unit, celebrating the Chicago and Eastern Illinois Railroad. With 17 in service so far, and no signs of stopping anytime soon, CSX will most likely dethrone Norfolk Southern's fleet of 20 as being the largest Heritage Unit fleet. Makes up for CSX being so late to the party. On the 25th, for some reason, a bunch of Northeast transit agencies decided to make a bunch of big announcements all at the same time. Not sure where they all picked this random Thursday, but I'm not complaining. Starting with smaller news, New Jersey Transit ordered an additional 36 Alstom Odessia bi-level EMUs, making for a total of 174 cars on order. NJT says the first cars will be delivered soon and will start testing later this year. They're expected to replace 40-plus-year-old Aero 3 cars and free up trailer cars for non-electrified lines. Next up, Philadelphia's SEPTA placed an order for 200 cars built by Hitachi. These cars, dubbed the M5s, will replace 25-year-old Adtran's M4s on the Market Frankfurt line. The first cars are expected in 2028, and the fleet is expected to be fully delivered by the end of 2031. Up in Boston, the MBTA announced its plans to implement battery electric trains on the Fairmount line. MBTA's Fairmount line is a 9-mile branch running through Dorchester, and as such, the agency is hoping to convert it to rapid transit. These battery EMUs are expected to charge off the catenary wires at South Station before running to Reedville and back. The MBTA has apparently opted to lease these battery trains, so this could be a short-term test. As a plus though, this will allow them to get these trains in service as early as 2028. I've talked to no end about how battery electric trains are not ideal when compared to true electrification, especially in the case of rapid transit, but given how little funding the MBTA receives, this is not surprising at all. With this announcement, however, came official renderings of a battery electric train built by Stadler, a presumably battery electric train built by Alstom, and a low-emissions diesel built by Siemens. No manufacturer for these cars has been specified, but this random rendering of an MBTA charger could be alluding to something wholly unrelated to the battery train order. Definitely something to keep an eye out for. Additionally, a mock-up for the first Type 10 MBTA Green Line car was completed, and its manufacturer CAF reported that production is set to begin in the fall. These new Type 10 supercars are entirely low-floor light rail vehicles and will greatly increase Green Line system capacity in addition to accessibility. Staying in my home state of Massachusetts, the next day on the 26th, the MBTA's long-awaited Heritage Unit was spotted testing. GP40 MC-3 number 1129 wears a unique maroon paint scheme seen on FP10s and an F40 back in the day. This paint scheme was the result of a lack of purple paint in the Boston and Maine shops in the 80s and is quite obscure for a heritage locomotive. 1129 is expected to enter service in the coming month, and it could be the first of many heritage units to come. Finally, to end the month, the first Siemens Charger locomotive built for Montreal's Exo was spotted at the Siemens factory in Sacramento. As expected, this is the first non-Amtrak Charger to feature the streamlined nose cone, and it looks great. This engine is currently missing decals, so its number, official classification, and of course its Exo logos are currently missing. Interestingly, Siemens continues to produce Chargers with the original notched nose design, as a new SC44 was spotted for the Altamont Corridor Express, which apparently has 2 additional units on order. Anyways, that's the July 2024 edition of This Month on the Railroad. As always, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next month for August's update.